Have you ever heard of a train that left the station and never existed again? It sounds like the start of a movie, but for 106 people in 1911, it might have been their reality. This is the story of the Zanetti Train, one of history's most baffling and enduring mysteries. Our story begins in Rome on a beautiful summer day. The Zanetti Railway Company was debuting a brand new luxury train. They offered a special sightseeing tour to a select group of wealthy Italians, a scenic journey through the mountains, including passage through the newly constructed, and might I add, impressively long, Lombard Tunnel. 100 passengers and 6 crew members boarded the train, filled with excitement. They waved goodbye to their families at the station, expecting to return later that day after a delightful excursion. They passed through the first part of their journey without a hitch, enjoying the beautiful Italian countryside. But as the train approached the entrance of the Lombard Tunnel, something went terribly wrong. The train entered the tunnel and simply never came out the other side. Panic set in when the train failed to arrive at its next scheduled stop. Railway workers walked the entire length of the tunnel, searching for any sign of a crash, derailment, or explosion. They found nothing. The tracks were pristine. There was no soot, no debris, no wreckage. It was as if a 3-car train carrying 106 people had just evaporated into thin air inside a half-mile-long tunnel. The tunnel was thoroughly inspected, declared safe, and eventually reopened, but the mystery only deepened. During the initial investigation, 2 men were found wandering near the tunnel entrance in a state of shock. They claimed to have been on the Zanetti train. Their story was terrifying. They said that as the train approached the tunnel, a thick, milky white fog suddenly enveloped everything. A low humming sound grew louder and louder, and a strange, sticky feeling filled the air. Panic erupted among the passengers. These 2 men, overwhelmed by fear, managed to jump from the moving train just before it was completely swallowed by the tunnel and the bizarre fog. They were the only survivors. What they described sounded less like a train accident and more like something out of a science fiction novel. Authorities were skeptical, and the men were treated for shock. But what else could explain the disappearance? For years, the official explanation was, well, there wasn't one. The event was a national embarrassment and a source of immense grief. The tunnel was eventually sealed off during World War II bombings and has remained closed ever since. The story of the ghost train became a local legend, a chilling tale told to scare children. But then, decades later, the story took an even stranger turn. Reports started to surface, linking the Zanetti train to a very different time and place. A psychiatrist in Mexico City in the 1840s, that's nearly 70 years before the train even vanished, documented the sudden appearance of 104 Italians in his hospital. They were all dressed strangely, in clothes that wouldn't exist for decades, and they were all hysterically claiming they had arrived in Mexico City from Rome, by train. Think about that for a second. There were no transatlantic railways in the 1840s. The idea was absurd. These people were deemed collectively insane and institutionalized. Their claims were so bizarre that they were recorded as a case of mass hysteria. But the details line up uncannily. 104 people, Italian, claiming to have traveled from Rome by train. Could these have been the lost passengers of the Zanetti? Did the train not just vanish, but travel through time? This is where the theory of a time slip or a space-time anomaly comes into play. Proponents of this theory suggest that the Lombard Tunnel, for a brief, inexplicable moment, became a gateway through time. The strange white fog, the humming sound, these could have been the sensory effects of crossing a dimensional threshold. The theory suggests the train jumped from 1911 Italy to 1840s Mexico. It sounds impossible, but how else do you explain the sudden appearance of over 100 people with a story that made no sense in their time, but makes perfect, chilling sense in ours? And the story doesn't even end there. Over the years, there have been scattered, unverified reports of a ghost train matching the Zanetti's description being sighted in various parts of Eastern Europe, Russia, and Ukraine. Eyewitnesses describe an old-fashioned 3-car train moving silently along tracks where no train is scheduled, sometimes even on abandoned or dismantled lines, with its windows shut and curtains drawn. Some legends even claim it's a cursed vessel, forever doomed to wander through time and space. So what really happened to the Zanetti train? Was it a simple, albeit perfectly concealed accident inside the tunnel? Did it fall into a hidden chasm or sinkhole that was later covered up? This is the most logical scientific explanation. Perhaps the railway company, facing a massive scandal, orchestrated a cover-up of unprecedented scale. But if so, how did they manage to hide 3 train cars and 106 bodies so completely that not a single trace was ever found? And what about the 2 survivors? Were they just shell-shocked witnesses to a conventional crash, their minds filling in the supernatural details? Or was something far stranger at play? The time travel theory, while fantastical, neatly ties together the disappearance in 1911 with the mysterious appearance of the Italians in 1840s Mexico. It offers an explanation for an event that otherwise defies logic. Could a specific combination of geologic factors, electromagnetic fields, and the train's speed have ripped a temporary hole in the fabric of space-time? Scientists would say it's highly improbable, but as the saying goes, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. The train that never arrived remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. It's a story that sits right on the edge of reality and fiction, a place where history meets legend, a luxury trip that turned into an eternal journey. Whether it was a tragic, covered-up accident or a genuine leap through the 4th dimension, the fate of the 106 souls aboard the Zanetti train continues to haunt and fascinate us over a century later. What do you believe happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me down this historical rabbit hole. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries from the past. Ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay curious.